Hello, it's a lovely good evening from here in Delhi and hope that each one of you are absolutely fine, hale and hearty. It gives me an opportunity to welcome each one of you, and at the same time I would love to avail of this particular opportunity to congratulate you for having cleared your first hurdle and now entering into the territory zone of this wonderful journey called CA. But before I proceed, let me make it absolutely clear that I am feeling absolutely ecstatic. And the feeling is all the more satisfying because sitting down here in Delhi, I am able to reach out to every student scattered in every nook and corner of the country. So that is why the feeling is not only wonderful, but it is all the more greatly, immensely satisfying, as I said, and it's a sheer pleasure in interacting with each one of you. So as you know that you and I have assembled here today actually for this course that is known as CA Inter Group 1 Accounting. That's a new course of course, as now each one of you are aware of, and this is 3rd of January 2018 when I am actually talking to you, interacting with you at this particular moment. Correct? 3rd of January 2018. Intentionally, actually, I have stressed upon the date just to make you feel that how fresh and how what we call updated this particular course is. So as you know that we have assembled here for this wonderful journey, as I call, and this is going to be the introductory session, and generally in the introductory session we have a normal chatting with each one of you whereby we talk about what we call the contents, the syllabus, and of course our methodology and strategy which we are going to adopt to complete this particular course. And before I proceed, actually let me make it absolutely clear, this particular course is absolutely in English medium, CA Inter Group 1 Accounting. This course is in English medium, which means actually this particular course is basically meant for students residing in the southern states of the country and the eastern state of the country. And at the same time, this is also meant for those actually who feel more comfortable with this particular course. But at the same time, let me also make it clear that in case if anyone among you actually wish to have our course in Hindi medium, there is a separate course which is also available at our site. So you can simply reach out to site whereby you will get the details and you can subscribe to that particular course. So when we say that this particular course is in English, it means that entire what we call delivery of the course will be through this particular medium, that is English. So as I said, and before actually I proceed further, let me make it also absolutely clear that in this particular what we call session, we shall not only have a chatting with respect to the course content and the methodology and what we call the strategy which we are going to adopt during our course, but at the same time we shall also talk about some hunches which generally goes into the minds of the student when they go for an online course. There are many hunches, even I know many doubts, some hiccups in their minds. So we shall also take up those questions which sometimes actually give you unnecessarily anxiousness and anxieties, but in the later stages. So first of all, we begin, as the saying goes actually, that beginning should be from where the things begin. So first of all, we shall take up what we call your course contents. So as far as your course contents are concerned, so you write along with me, CA Inter. This is what for you are here. This is CA Inter, correct? Group 1. CA Inter Group 1, as I said, accounting. So as far as this particular course is concerned, I have already told you it will be entirely in English medium. Now the contents which we are supposed to cover under this particular subject can be segregated broadly into 3 main divisions or 3 main segments. You can say it that way around too. The entire course of accounting can be segregated into 3 main segments. One, company accounts, then financial account, of course, company accounts, financial accounts, and finally accounting standards, financial accounts. So entire course content of accounting, as I said, can be segregated, can be divided, can be allocated into 3 segments. Accounting standards, so entire course of accounting can be divided broadly into 3 parts. One, company segment part, then financial accounts portion, then accounting standards. So which are the topics which we are supposed to cover under your company accounts? So first of all, we shall talk about that company accounts. You write along with me if you want to. Company accounts. As far as company account portion is concerned, we shall cover these topics. A, bonus issue. Bonus issue. Bonus issue. So under bonus issue, actually, we are going to study why a company goes for a bonus issue. We will see when we reach this particular chapter, we shall study over there that bonus issue simply means actually distribution of shares among the existing equity shareholder virtually free of cost. So when an entity distributes its shares among its shareholders free of cost, that is known as bonus issue. Now the basic question is why a company goes for bonus issue. What are the mileages which an entity can draw out through bonus issue? Or there were some compelling reasons for the bonus issue. So these are the questions which we will love to actually have answers to when we are going to pick up this particular topic. Besides that, of course, we shall also try to acquaint ourselves and equip ourselves with the accounting techniques which one need to actually know as far as accounting for bonus issue is concerned. So these are the questions which we are going to cover up under bonus issue. Then we have another topic in company accounts known as redemption of preference shares. That is redemption of preference share. Redemption of preference share. Redemption of preference shares. As far as redemption of preference share is concerned, name itself is suggesting what we are supposed to study under this particular chapter. Obviously, we need to know actually what exactly are the procedural aspects of redemption of preference share. So when a company actually issue preference share, it becomes imperative for the company also to redeem the amount of the preference shareholder after a particular period of time, or say after a specified period of time. So what accounting provisions we need to follow for the redemption of preference share? That's the mutable question which we need to actually answer to when we are going to pick up redemption of preference shares. Correct? Similarly, then we have another topic, and that is known as profit prior to incorporation. 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 When an entity actually, when I say entity, I am referring at this particular movement to company. When a company earns profit prior to its incorporation, first of all, how is it possible? Because so far in our earlier phases of education, we have studied that a company can start and commence its business only after having received the what we call certificate of commencement of business. So how come it is possible that an entity is able to earn profits prior to incorporation? Yes, it is very much possible. So we shall see the circumstances where an entity or company can earn profits even prior to its incorporation. So what will be the accounting treatment of that profit or loss? So should we treat that particular profit as capital profits or revenue profits? Then how it can be computed and where it can be used, where it can be utilized. So these are the questions, besides of course the accounting patterns, which we shall unfold when we'll pick up this particular chapter. Then after profit prior to incorporation, we have a chapter known as Managerial Remuneration. Managerial Remuneration. Managerial Remuneration. Managerial remuneration, simply put, you can say it's the remuneration of the managerial personnel. Then the question is, who are managerial personnel? As far as a company is concerned, when we talk this particular concept, managerial remuneration, it means we are talking about the remuneration of the managerial personnel who may be actually director of the company, managing director of the company, or managers. And here managers means chief executive officers, chief operation officials, even the company secretaries. So managerial personnel is a very vast, big term, and it is generally associated with high-profiled personnel of a particular company. So since you happen to be the director of the company, managing director of the company, or for that instance, chief executive officer of the company, it means you are in an influential position. You can influence the affairs of the company because your position and your profile and your status is so strong. So obviously, presuming that I am the director of a particular company, and I have already told you, since I am in a powerful position, I can influence and affect the affairs of the operations of the entity. And it could also be a possibility that I may extract the profits of the company in unreasonable proportions as remuneration to my pocket. What I said, that it is very much a possibility that I will extract the maximum amount of the profits of the company in the form of remuneration and keep it in my pocket. That is very much a possibility because I am in an influential position. So that is exactly why the law has enacted some provisions to stop the managerial personnel from drawing unreasonable amount of profits as their remuneration from the entity. So what are those rules? What exactly is the maximum amount of remuneration which the managerial personnel can extract as their remuneration, and what are the provisional aspects of the Companies Act 2013? So these are the questions which we shall seek answer to when we are going to pick up this particular chapter, managerial remuneration. Then we have managerial remuneration. Then we have preparation of financial statements. Preparation of financial statements. Preparation of financial statements. As far as preparation of financial statements are concerned, preparation of financial statements. Seems quite easy. Chapter seems almost like a walk in the park, and to some it may appear almost like a cup of coffee because you have done so many times final accounts, isn't it or not? You have done it in your class 11th, in your 12th, and even in CPT or CA Foundation, whatever you may like to call it. But at this level, to be very honest with you, you should not take and you should not commit the folly of taking any chapter lightly. It is very important at this particular level to distribute your equal amount of focus and attention in equal proportion to each and every chapter. This is the first criteria to clear this professional body examination. So it is of paramount importance for you, as I said, not to commit this mistake of taking the chapters lightly. You must understand this particular fact, that you are not studying just for the sake of clearing the examination. You should study a particular chapter in its entirety with great incisiveness, and with great penetrativeness. It is very important for us, so that when we later on reach the practical arena of our life, we should be in a position to utilize the knowledge which we gained at this level to the practical aspects when we will face later on in life. Since you are pursuing a very high profile course, chartered accountancy, and after some time, I always wish and aspire and think that each one of you will become CA professional. So when you will handle the practical matters in your life, so often you will have to and you will be asked to actually analyze the financial statements. So it is of paramount importance for you to gain a very high profile, in-depth knowledge of preparation of financial statement. It's not an easy chapter, to be very honest with you, at this level. The reason being is that now Companies Act 2013 is in force, and you might be aware of Schedule 3. So Schedule 3 has given some formats, and as per those formats, all the corporate entities are supposed to prepare their what we call financial statements. So you should have, as I said, a high amount of expertise as far as preparation of financial statements are concerned, because now the preparation of financial statements will be in vertical formats. You shall have to prepare what we call one statement of profit and loss and then balance sheet. But at the same time, these statements, as I said, must be prepared as per the prescribed formats. So all the more it becomes what we call important for us to gain a high amount of expertise, because to prepare the financial statement as per the prescribed format sometime could be a difficult and complicated task if our concepts are not very strong. So this should work as a motivational factor for you to keep an extra eye over this particular chapter. As I said, it is not only relevant from the examination point of view, but later on also when you are going to handle what we call matters related to accountancy and audit, of course. Then there is another chapter, cash flow statements. Cash flow statements. Cash flow statements. You have done this chapter so many times earlier. And again, the moment I write cash flow statement, many students are under an impression, very good, it's a very easy chapter. We shall be able to do it without any problem. Yes, you should. Why not? After all, you all are different from others. That is why you are here. And many of your friends who were with you at CA foundation level are not with you right now. So you got my point. So this itself symptomizes that you belong to a little bit of different league. So obviously, there is no doubt from my side as far as your intelligence level and IQ level is concerned. But at the same time, since I have been in the States since almost last 22 years, it's a pretty long time, which means I have a long, prolonged experience of interacting with the people, and I have seen many who commit sometimes some mistakes which they should not. So cash flow statement, yet again, it is nice to see that each one of you have the knowledge, basic knowledge of cash flow statement, but at this particular level, we'll find that we need high amount of knowledge with respect to cash flow statements. To be very honest with you, it's not an easy task, it's not an easy cup of coffee, neither it is a walk on the park, because we have to prepare the cash flow statement as per accounting standard AS3 revised. But at the same time, good thing is that, as I know, that each one of you know the basic idea of the cash flow statements. But only thing is that at this level, we will have to refine your knowledge to little bit some higher levels, and we should make you what we call expert enough to analyze the what we call financial statements of a particular company, especially with respect to the cash flow statement. That means when you are going to have a look over the cash flow statement, you should be in a position to judge and analyze the what we call future prospects of the company. For example, after having a look over the cash flow statement, if you come to the conclusion that company has made lots of investment, so you can conclude that in future company may be able to earn higher amount of what we call returns, and you can tell to your clients that it is better to invest in this particular company. So we would love to have you this much of knowledge, so that not only you are able to solve the question, but you can analyze the financial statements of the company almost like a supreme expert. Correct? And then, besides cash flow statement, we are going to pick up Then a very, very strong chapter, accounting for taxes. This is newly added chapter, accounting for taxes. This was the need of the hour too, accounting for taxes. And I have written in bracket accounting standard 22. Sometimes it becomes very easy to criticize others. And I have seen many people criticize the methodology working of ICAI often. And I am not an exception. But this time I would love to give them very high amount of credit for the bold step and the courage they have shown in including this particular chapter at CA inter level and especially at group 1 level. This chapter was earlier in CA final, which means now as far as this particular chapter, when I was writing, I said this was the need of the hour. To be very honest with you, the reason being is that so often we need to face concepts like deferred tax asset and deferred tax liability. Now, since you are at group 1 level, and if you are well acquainted with these terms, deferred tax assets and deferred tax liabilities, right from the beginning, right from the word go, then it becomes all the more easy for us to later on handle and understand and comprehend the tedious concepts of taxation. So that is the reason actually I had always felt that this should be the part of group 1, and that is why I am having tremendous amount of what we call pleasure in thanking the ICAI for what we call introducing this particular course at this particular level. It's a fantastic chapter, and to be very honest with you, your entire course has been revised, so all the more it has become more interesting, very enjoyable and very pleasurable too. You will definitely realize the worth of my wordings later on once you will go through all these particular chapters. Then you have another chapter at this level as far as company account is concerned, that is redemption of debenture. Redemption of debenture. Redemption of debenture. I need not require to talk about this particular chapter, redemption of debenture. You have done this chapter even in your earlier phases of education, but I have seen that students have never felt very, very competent, proficient and efficient with respect to the accounting, what we call procedural accounting procedures of redemption of debenture. So when we will pick up this particular chapter, definitely we are going to have a hell of a talking, and we shall make you feel very, very confident, and I'm very sure that you would agree with me later on that after having completed this chapter, you are well in command to tackle every problem related to redemption of debenture. Correct? So as far as your company account portion is concerned, these are the topics which will fall under the purview of company accounts. Then your second segment is financial accounts. Financial accounts. Financial accounts. Under financial accounts, we can club these chapters. Branch accounts. Branch accounts. When we will cover branch account, we will also cover foreign branches. Foreign branches. And along with branch account, we will also cover accounting standard AS11 because it has got some relation to foreign branches. It's a very vast topic, it's a very big topic and very wide one. To be very honest with you, this is the longest chapter, and nearly we have incorporated 150 questions. When you will see the study material, even you will blink your eyes that how come we shall be able to complete 150 questions. You need not require to bother on that count. We on our side leave no stone unturned in giving you the best, as I keep on saying, and we take lots of pride in that. Generally, I refrain from making such a statement, but at the same time, sometime, in order to substantiate your point, you simply can't help it. If you happen to be the largest selling accounting faculty for online courses, there must be some reason. So we have taken lots of pains, and we take great pride, as I said, in giving you the most worthy, what we call, course. not only latest, updated, refreshed, but painfully, with lots of pains actually, we have prepared this course. I'm very sure actually that only after going through a particular chapter you will be able to realize the worth of my words. So I'm very thankful to, first of all, the student fraternity who have shown tremendous what we call patronage to me, and I sincerely hope that their patronage will continue in future too, because I sincerely hope that whatever I am today, I owe my this recognition or status or position just due to your patronage, love and affection and loyalty too. So that's all the more my humble request is to have your patronage forever. Anyway, so my point only is this, that at this level we can leave nothing to chance. Nothing to chance. It is of paramount importance that you need to study and study each and every line. So only if this much of courage and honesty you can show, then definitely there is no reason why you won't reach what we call your final frontier. So that is the reason. As I said, this is introductory class. We will talk about your course content, and in between we will have lots of chatting too. So branch accounts, of course, what branches are, why branches are open, what are the accounting systems under the branches, and what exactly the accounting techniques. There are lots of accounting techniques which we need to actually understand and comprehend under this particular chapter. Then what are dependent branches, independent branches, domestic branches, foreign branches, lots of topics are there, but very enjoyable, interesting. As I said, you will thoroughly enjoy this particular course. So, but it's a lengthy one, no doubt about that. So branch account, and I have already told you that along with that we are going to continue. We are going to study, in fact, foreign branches and accounting standard AS11. Accounting standard AS11 deals with effects of foreign exchange rates. So if there will be a change in the foreign exchange rates, so what will be its impact upon the accounting? That is why accounting standard AS11 has been introduced. So it provides us some guidelines with respect to that. Then after having completed the branch account, we shall move over to departmental accounting. Departmental accounting. Departmental accounting. As far as departmental accounting is concerned, I have seen through my experience, long experience, that many a times the student unnecessarily commits, as I keep on saying, this folly of prioritizing the chapters. You should never give a priority to a particular chapter. I have already told you it is of paramount importance for you to recognize this important aspect right from the beginning itself, that every chapter is important, significant and formidable. An equal amount of focus, attention and of course dedication is needed. So that is the reason. Although it is a small chapter, but it has got lots of what we call concepts. So it should be given the due amount of recognition, due amount of efforts and due amount of dedication too. So under departmental accounting we shall study what departments are, why departmental accounting is needed, how it is beneficial to the organization, and at the same time along with it we will also cover a concept known as markup. We will cover it along with departmental accounting itself. It is part of departmental accounting. Then we will go for hire purchase transaction. Hire purchase transaction. Hire purchase transactions. Accounting for hire purchase transactions. Accounting for hire purchase transactions. Most commonly used word nowadays is hire purchase. Everything right from mobile to mobile to fridge to electronic gadgetry to computers. You must have heard your mom and dad saying actually, well, we can buy this particular thing on hire purchase or installment system, isn't it? So it's a very practical concept. So this should be all the more a motivating factor for you to understand and comprehend the intricacies of this particular chapter, especially the accounting pattern. Under it, you are going to learn how the interest, you generally use what we call your debit card, credit card. If you are not using, so often you must have find your papa actually sitting like this, oh my God, watching the bank statement. Let us say this is the bank statement, watching the bank statement and then raising the eyebrows. I'm not able to understand why this bank has charged this much. So then you will be in a better position to tell to your papa and mom and everybody you will be able to tell how this interest is computed. Correct? So this chapter will make you understand the complexities which are associated with the computation of interest, especially when we take something on hire, or you can simply say by way of loan. Correct? So under hire purchase transactions, we shall learn basically the calculation of interest principal amount, interest due amount. We learn the accounting pattern. Of course, it's a very, very interesting chapter. I have given you just one example of its practical utility. So that is the reason I want to raise your curiosity, and I want to raise your keenness to know everything about that particular chapter. Correct? So you must pay extra attention to that. Hire purchase transactions, then we have in this case investment accounting. Oh my God, it's a very, very interesting. Sir, you are telling that every chapter is very interesting. Yes, investment accounting. Investment accounting. I have simply written investments. It means investment accounting. Under investment accounting, what we will learn? Now, capital market is the most, what we call, fast, swift, uprising, what we call segment in the economy. And nowadays, especially, you can say there are many financial instruments. You have heard about the equity instruments, you have heard about the preference, you have heard about the debenture bonds. So these are nothing but financial instruments. And you know that people invest their money into what we call different sort of instruments to earn some income. So under the investment accounting, we will learn how to keep track of our investments. In other words, I can say investment accounting is nothing but it is simply maintenance of the portfolio of your investment. You know, in your mobile, you generally have a function called gallery, where all the photos which you click so often and very fond of clicking, you accumulates over there. So this gallery can be termed as a portfolio of your investments. Likewise, how an investor keeps track of his investments, that is what we are going to learn under investment accounting. Correct? So it's again a very, very interesting chapter in the sense that you can utilize it even in your practical life later on. Correct? So many people do investment, but they do not know how the accounting should be done. So you will be in a better position to tell them that this is the way to actually keep the track of your investment. And by keeping the track of the investment, you will be in a better position to know whether you are at loss or at a profit, or which investments are worthwhile to invest and which investments are unworthy. So we should actually disinvest our money from that particular line of investment. So these are the questions which we are going to seek answer to when we are going to pick up investment accounting. But at the same time, along with it, we are going to pick up accounting standard AS13, because AS13 is related to investments. In fact, it deals with accounting for investments. Then we have single entry system. Single entry system. Single entry system. Now let me be very, very honest. I didn't call this chapter very interesting. I have always found this chapter very boring, but at the same time, I should never say these words. Single entry system, it will, as you know, because you know the basic tenets of what we call this particular chapter. You have done the fundamentals of this chapter in your earlier phases. So, of course, it is also known as accounting for incomplete records. So, how a single trader maintains his books, and sometimes the single trader feels the need to convert his single entry accounting system into double entry accounting system. So, how we do that? So, these are the questions which we are going to trace out later on when we are going to pick up this particular chapter. But obviously, let me be very frank and honest in this particular regard, that it is most easy chapter. Then we are going to pick up a very, very, very interesting and formidable chapter known as insurance claim. Insurance claim. Since a business has to function under tremendous amount of risk surroundings, there are several types of risk associated with the business, isn't it? Our rivals may adopt a different sort of techniques. Government may change what we call some of its provisions. A natural calamity can struck us. We may incur heavy amount of losses on account of this. So business itself is synonymous with risk, isn't it or not? So that is the reason that prudent means to think before you leave. And in simple words, prudence means wisdom, intelligence. So a prudent business house, more often than not, takes what we call an appropriate insurance policy to safeguard itself from any losses which may arise on account of the factors which I just simply mentioned out. So under the insurance claim, what we are going to learn? Under insurance claim, we will see and learn the art of computing the compensation claims which we will demand from the insurance company. For example, I am a business house. I have taken an insurance policy and I have suffered a loss. Now I am going to ask for the compensation from the insurance company. Now the point is, what amount of compensation I am going to ask, how that compensation amount will be arrived at, how it will be computed. So these are the things which you are going to learn under insurance claims. It's a formidable chapter, significant chapter, no doubt about that. Then finally, we are going to study partnership. Partnership. It's a long chapter. After branch, partnership is going to be the longest one, because in here what you are supposed to study, you will study the simple dissolution which you have already gone through, as I said, perhaps in your class 11th or 12th. But here we will also learn partners insolvency, then firms insolvency, clear insolvency, unclear insolvency. We will also see the aspects, accounting aspects, when a partnership firm sells its business to some other firm, and sometime a firm gets converted itself into a company form of business, then what will be the accounting procedures? Similarly, when two firms merge together and form a single entity, that is known as amalgamation of firms. So what exactly are the accounting procedures associated with all these, as I said, contours of partnership? So these are the themes which we are going to tackle out over here when we are going to pick up partnership. Formidable chapter, very interesting, no doubt about that. So as far as your financial account portion is concerned, you have seen there are so many chapters, and out of the total time coverage which we shall need, 75% will be consumed by the financial accounting portion. Your company account portion is quite smaller in comparison to financial account portion. So out of total time, I may say 75% will be consumed by this one, 15% will be consumed this one by what we call your company accounts, and remaining 10% will be consumed by accounting standards. So accounting standards. Well, your third one is accounting standard. I will have to check the screen also. Accounting standards. At your level, we have so many accounting standards. First of all, let me make it absolutely clear. You must have heard about this saying in English, men are different from boys. Have you heard about that ever? Be honest. Have you heard about it or not? No, sir. Before I proceed, just wait for a second. Just wait for a second. Well, I was just settling down the screen, so sometimes you need to settle out your screen, because after all it's technology, you have to be extra careful. Well, I was asking simple question. Have you heard about this saying, men are different from boys? Men are different from boys mean extraordinary guys are entirely different from the ordinary ones. If you want to be a very, very successful CA, chartered accountant, the chartered accountant itself is a very big shot, no doubt about that. But if you want to be an extraordinary chartered accountant, a chartered accountant of different league, of different rapport, of different sort of expertise-ness, then you need to have a very high amount of knowledge of accounting standard. This is something which will differentiate you from the others. The more, the higher, the deeper the knowledge which you are going to possess with respect to, as I said, accounting standard, different will be your level and different will be your, what we call, demand as far as market is concerned. And let me be very, very honest with you. There is still dearth of many professionals right now. This is the most wonderful time, perhaps in my opinion, it is the golden period for you. You believe me, that so many people have a tendency of unnecessarily unleashing the grapevines. You know the meaning of grapevines? Means rumors. Many people say CA is nothing, something like that. Absolutely absurd. You must keep your eye open, and along with that ears also, and finally with your head also. Correct? It is very important for you to understand the facts that at this moment the economy of India is growing by leaps and bounds, and there are tremendous opportunities, and there is dearth of nearly 10 lakh CAs. Do you know this? That is why I am saying it's a golden period, and it should work as the most tempting factor for you to put extra efforts. 3-4 years of life and you will have a life of luxury later on, full of your aspirations. So, why I am telling that? You must realize the facts. The fact is that there is still dearth, there is still shortage of many professionals, not only CAs, but many professionals, whether they happen to be CAs, CMAs, or what we call chartered accountants. But company would love to hire you only when you will be able to show them that you are different from others. That's the point here, isn't it? So try to understand this particular thing, try to understand this particular point, that accounting standard, one need to have a high amount of knowledge. Like others, you should not neglect this point. It's important, formidable. So, and very, very scoring too, very interesting too. So, which are the accounting standards which you are supposed to study at this level? Accounting standard AS1. AS1 deals with disclosure aspects. AS2 deals with valuation of inventories. Accounting standard AS3, it deals with preparation of cash flow statements. Accounting standard AS4 deals with events occurring after the date of the balance sheet. AS5, it's a pretty long standard, deals with items of profit and loss for the period. It also deals with prior period items. It also deals with accounting estimates and changes in accounting policies. Then accounting standards 10. Accounting standard 10, the name of accounting standard 10 has been now changed. Earlier it was accounting for fixed asset, now it is property, plant and equipment. Now the name of AS10 is property, plant and equipment. Then you have AS11, as I said earlier, it deals with effects of changes in foreign exchange rates. Then you have to study AS12, government grants. Then AS13, then AS16, then AS16 deals with borrowing costs. AS17 segment reporting, and AS22 accounting for taxes. Now just pay attention. Out of these standards, accounting standard AS3, accounting standard 13 and accounting standard AS11 we shall cover along with the relevant chapters itself. And similarly, accounting standard 22 will be covered along with what we call accounting for taxes. Correct? So as far as course content is concerned, I'm very sure that now you are well aware of what we call all these topics, and you have a little bit of idea what exactly these topics contain. But we shall take up this topic at length, breadth, and perhaps the widest one. I can challenge you that our coverage will be higher than anybody's. That's all. You can believe my words in this particular regard. Now, very important aspect. Sometimes students want to know Sir, please talk something about the study material. Well, you need not require to bother about the study material. The study material which we are going to supply you, that is known as study bank. Correct? Our book contains all the questions given in the book released by ICAI. That means we have covered all the gamut of ICAI, all questions of ICAI, even the unsolved question. Besides that, we have also incorporated questions of the past 20 examinations. Besides that, we have also incorporated questions from RTPs, that is known as revision test papers issued by ICAI. And besides that, we have also incorporated many more significant formidable questions which we feel that at this level are needed. So simply put, you need not require to hunt for any other material. Let me be very straight in this particular regard. Correct? Since we have covered every feature, every aspect, every line, every word of ICAI, and besides that we have incorporated many other things, so we can say with great pride that you in your hand will have the largest, widest, most powerful study material. So you need not require to hunt for any other material. Number one, and there is a saying in English, there is no point in digging wide. You won't have the water then. It is always better to dig deep. Then only you will have what we call water. You got my point. But at the same time, after having completed our study material, you must supplement your studies by the revision test papers which are generally issued by ICAI at least 1 or 2 months before the examination. Is it clear to you? That should be your duty. Besides, in between we will conduct the test also, and you will have to attempt those tests. Correct? So as far as study material is concerned, things should be absolutely clear. Now, I have felt, as I've already told you, after almost 2 decades in the trade, and especially I'm in online business also since last 5 years, you can say. We know the problems generally faced by the student fraternity, and they have many hunches, many doubts. The first doubt is with respect to the validity of the course, whether the course is fresh or stale. So this is the most significant question and critical question which actually gives a lot of anxieties to the student. You remember? When I started this session, I intentionally actually harped upon the date. I stressed that I'm starting the course on 3rd of January 2018, which itself should give you a clue, which should give you an evidence about the validity of the course. So it is the latest one, finest one, most power-packed course. You can simply have faith on our wordings and of course on our reviews. As far as validity portion is concerned, that's fine. Then next point is with respect to another question the student generally want to know is with respect to doubts. Yes, many students are generally when they go for online, they have a hunch. What about the doubts? How we will get what we call our doubts cleared, because at face-to-face level there is no point, so we can erase the doubt instantly. So how come at online business? Remember one thing. A good faculty is one which has the ability to interpret the minds of the student within a flick of second. Any such faculty who has got this tremendous gift of analyzing the minds of the student, as I said, in a threadbare manner, that faculty will definitely see to it that not a single doubt remains in the minds of the student. I'm very lucky to have this sort of reputation, and I don't have any doubt that if you are commanding the biggest chunk of market, then there must be some reason. The reason obviously is that we on our side see to it that either it happens to be face-to-face class or online class, not a single doubt remains in the minds of the student. I'm very sure when you will run through a particular lecture, you yourself will agree to this particular statement, and I'm very sure you will not find any sort of confusion, doubt or for that instance any sort of hiccups. But in spite of that, in case still if you want more elaborative substantiation, clarification or explanation, there are various channels through which you can contact us. And these are the times of technological advancements. Nothing is impossible. You can reach to us through emails, you can reach to us through WhatsApp, and there are many other channels when you are going to subscribe to this particular course, which you will come to know, correct? And through those channels you can contact us. We can assure you that within 24 hours your doubts will be clarified. And if you happen to contact us by way of what we call WhatsApp, definitely chances are there then much more what we call quickly and swiftly we shall be able to erase out your doubts. Is it clear? And before I finish up and wrap up this particular what we call lecture, one thing I would love to say, each one of you have cleared your first hurdle, that is CA Foundation or CPT, whatever you call it. Now you have entered the territory zone. You must savor your success. No doubt, every success must be savored, but at the same time, one should not rest upon the laurels. It is important for you to understand from the beginning itself that you are pursuing a course which is considered as one of the toughest challenges in the world. It is also important for you to understand that every tough thing requires higher amount of dedication, because fruits are much more what we call sweeter in comparison to tasks where dedication effort is not required. Since it is a tough challenge, it will require high amount of dedication, high amount of honesty, high amount of focus. So chances are there that once you will reach your milestone, you will really feel that there was no harm in what we call giving so much of time towards this particular course. Through my experience, all I can say and advise you that the best way to complete this course is to understand the parameters. It is very important for us to understand the parameters and the criteria of a particular thing if we want to achieve that particular thing. For example, suppose I want to scale Mount Everest. Do you think I will be able to scale the Mount Everest simply by walking like this? No, it is not possible. I need an oxygen cylinder first of all. This is among the many what we call parameters or criteria, whatever you may like to say. Similarly, if you want to actually reach your milestone, then you need to understand the parameters, the criteria. One criteria, of course, is dedication. But in my view, the biggest criteria is honesty. You need to be honest to yourself. You must understand one important thing, that your mom, dad are spending so much of money on you. And nowadays it is very difficult. Let me tell you very frankly, if I know very well how difficult it is for the parents to spend so much of what we call money on the education of the children. So being children, you need to realize that you are not pursuing this course for only your sake. There are many hopes. There are many people who are aspiring for your success, who are craving for your success, your parents, your mom, your father, your sister, your closer, dear and near ones, your closer circle. You must understand this thing. My only advice is that I sincerely believe if one is honest to himself or herself, nothing is impossible in this human world. You believe me. So I'm very sure you got actually what I want to convey. But at the same time, by telling these advices, it doesn't mean that I'm telling you you should not enjoy the things. At every age, you need to enjoy everything. But my point is that you need to give proportionate time to the course which you are pursuing. That's my only piece of advice, and nothing more, nothing less. A great congratulations to each one of you for having cleared your what we call first level. And I pray to the God that each one of you reach the final stages of this course, not only, but also you reach the hallowed pretense of success. Correct? So with these wordings, and on this note, I end up this particular session, It was a sheer pleasure in talking to you. Let me confess it. Correct? So it's time to say goodbye, Shabak hai, Namaste and Shubhratri from here in Delhi.